Hi, I'm Debs, creator of the TOMAR Tarot deck and the TOMAR PDF manual. I'm running through some of the key features of the TOMAR deck now, so if you're thinking of purchasing one, what these key features are, but more importantly, how you're going to intuitively use them in a tarot reading. First off, the TOMAR deck. So it's a sample run, but the cards are of a similar standard and feel as playing cards. There's no box, but it comes wrapped and also in a cotton pouch for storage. There's no booklet, but you can download the card meanings from the website, tarotmagicandreason.com, navigate to the manual page, and it's book 5 PDF. I've kept the print run small while the project is in its beginning stages, and the box and the booklet cost as much as the cards, so that's why they're not a thing. The TOMAR Tarot deck is the same deck structure as the Rider-Waite-Smith, so if you're used to that deck, this will be very familiar. This is a diagram of the deck structure from the book 1 PDF. I've printed the books out here just for ease, but they are still PDFs at the moment. The imagery is similar to the Rider-Waite-Smith, but for example, in the Major Arcana, one of the changes I made is in the Hermit card. So usually this is depicted as a wise bearded old man, but I've changed it to a female for a few reasons. One of them being that it has an astrological correspondence to the sign of Virgo, the maiden. So August 23rd to September 22nd, it's the time of the year where, as a seasonal archetype, we're preparing for autumn after the harvest. So we're retreating, reflecting on how we're going to use the resources we have for the coming winter, aka the introspective reasoning of the hermit. And if you already have a basic understanding of the tarot cards, then you know that you already know these astrological meanings because they are intrinsic in the cards. So each of the Major Arcana cards has an astrological correspondence depicted somewhere on its face, either a classical planet, for example, the High Priestess is attributed to the moon, with a moon there, so hidden inner wisdom, or it's attributed to a sign of the zodiac. The moon card is attributed to the phase of Pisces with the 2 fish there. So a compelling adjustment using our intuition. And I've used this example because that's the one that's the most confusing. You would think that the moon card would correspond to the moon, but no, it's the High Priestess. But the rest of the Major Arcana correspondences are more straightforward. And if you download book 2 of the TOMAR manual from the website, chapter 11 has this diagram, which is also in the cheat sheet section on the website. This is the Major Arcana cards placed on the astrological wheel. Just a note to say that this attribution is based on Golden Dawn texts. One of my Instagram reels looks at a brief history of astrological correspondences in the tarot deck. And believe me, the Golden Dawn sorting them out in 1888 or making it a fixed system in the cards is a huge relief. So book 2 PDF in the TOMAR manual looks at all of the ancient ideas now incorporated into the tarot deck. This is a diagram taken from book 2 and it kind of encapsulates everything that is looked into. So there's archetypal astrology, theurgy or divine magic, which is what this diagram is, based on Neoplatonism, Hermeticism, Kabbalah, alchemy, elemental divination, so fire, water, air and earth, and hint, those are kind of the basis for everything I've just mentioned, but always relating it back to astrological principles and how it applies to a tarot deck and how we use these ideas in our readings. And actually the reason there are 3 colours used in the TOMAR Tarot deck, so we've got black, white or off-white, cream, and golden yellow, is because they're the same colours that are used in the diagrams in the PDFs. So it's to convey the idea that each card is displaying wisdom from the source. The source is up the top here. It is a golden colour because it's an ultimate wisdom, but it's all-consuming. And we are revealing the nuance or detail in this wisdom through the cards. So for example, the Strength card has a lot of the golden yellow. It's attributed to the phase of Leo with the line down the bottom there. So July 23rd to August 22nd, it's a phase of the year when our strength comes from knowing who we are and where we are. So we've seen the best the year has to offer in high summer, and we use this to create standards for us to maintain throughout the rest of the year. So at this point, we have pride in ourselves and what we do. It's like a centering, like the core good in us that we return to in times of doubt. In book 3, there are the astrological correspondences for the minor arcana, so the court cards and the pip cards, ace to 10. This is a diagram taken from book 3, and it has the court card astrological wheel. So sticking with our example of a classical planet, the moon, in the court cards, the Queen of Cups is Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. And we can see that there because there's a crab here on her pendant system on her belt. And this card represents the productive empath in us, so creating progress by intuitively feeling what others feel, which we know as being the Queen of Cups. However, because the major arcana card, the Chariot, has also been attributed to the phase of Cancer, it's the hard shell or armour of the crab, the confidence of knowing that pushes us forward. So in the court cards, we have a variation, and we're just going to go back to the wheel here, and you can see on here each of these indents has been slightly shifted over into the previous sign, and this is reflected on the card by the crab is at the top, and then it has the twin symbol for Gemini just below. So we know that the Queen of Cups is mainly attributed to the phase of Cancer, but she's also slightly Gemini. So just going back to the astrological wheel here, so Gemini has informed the phase of Cancer. I'm sorry, this is the wrong way around. So Gemini has shaped and informed how the phase of Cancer should look and feel. So the compelling expression of Gemini, the twins, the dialogue, has created room for improvement. And in the phase of Cancer, that must be worked through so we can see more detail within it. And that adjustment means that Gemini's impulsive improvements will endure. And as a personality, it means that this queen is drawn to situations that create improvements, but it means they can also overthink or overknow. So they are relying on only what they have discovered through their emotions. Queens are water, cups are water, so emotion. This card is traditionally the mystic, a powerful visionary that can expand on situations, but they may also need some logic to avoid misreading situations. So also in book 3, we have the astrological correspondences for the pip cards, so ace to 10. For example, the 4 of Cups is attributed to the decan moon in Cancer, and you can see that there's a little moon above the crab there. And just to explain, in book 3, there is this astrological wheel, and a decan is one of these 36 10-degree sections of the 360 degrees of the astrological wheel, which has a planet in an astrological sign. So in this case, moon in Cancer for the 4 of Cups, but for the 3 of Wands, for example, it would be the sun in Aries. So the 4 of Cups, moon in Cancer, represents the familiarity with our deepest feelings that pushes us to explore beyond our comfort zone. So this is a double dose of moon, essentially. Our reflections have gone into overdrive, but this is the same archetype we get by combining a 4, the number 4, with the suit of cups, emotion. So stability, emotion. So more importantly, how are you going to use all of this theory intuitively in your tarot readings? So I've got a mock reading here. This is the orientation spread taken from book 4. And just to explain, in book 4, the practical, there are 3 suggestions for tarot spreads that you can use for a sitting. So the first one is the orientation spread up here, and this gives you, it identifies or orientates you on what the rest of the sitting will be about. And these other 2 spreads are other ones you can perform to identify how you could change your approach. And there is, it goes into the orientation spread. And there's also a little bit of theory about the orientation spread here, because essentially this cross shape in the orientation spread is a map of your body. So this is how you're identifying what this reading is about. So you've got the head position at the top, the heart position, so what's in your heart, what is the heart of the matter, then what's influencing the heart. This is usually something, maybe an external influence that is influencing you, and then root at the bottom, and then also near past and near future. So this is a little bit hard to see, but we'll persevere. So we have the Queen of Cups in the heart position, the High Priestess in the root position, and the Four of Cups in the near past position. So we can already see there's a lot of moon energy going on. I've put all these little moon symbols down here that are attributed to those cards. So there's a lot of deep feeling, empathy, reflection. Basically, it's an internalization, but one that is possibly gearing up for a huge adjustment. And the reason we might assume that is because in the influence position, we've got the Hermit, which is Virgo, and in the head position, we've got the Lovers, which is Gemini. And both of those phases of the year are ruled by Mercury. So the Magician card is Mercury. It's the rapid exchange of information that creates innovation and change. And these cards both represent that same kind of dialogue, but in a variation. So you've got the external dialogue of the twins and the internal dialogue of the Hermit. And so the result that we get from all of this moon adjustment being influenced by these dialogues of Mercury is in the near future card, we have a suggestion that we will become the Chariot. So we will be spurred into action after all of this reflection. And then after we have identified that, usually when you're in a sitting, sometimes if you're reading for someone else, they won't necessarily tell you what the reading is about. But if you explain this situation to them of how they're feeling, you're literally identifying how they're feeling in response to this situation. They will usually open up and tell you a little bit more about that. And then you can go on to perform the pathway spread or the option spread, which are the other two spreads in the book. And so that's it. I'm going to leave it there. There's still lots more in the PDFs. There is still the offering bowl ritual to explore. And on my Instagram and my TikTok, there is lots of ideas for using tarot cards in magical practice, not just for tarot readings. So if you have any questions or you want to order a deck, drop me an email from the contact page on this website, and I'll love hearing from you. Okay, bye.